I started back in late 92 just to be a big reclaimer. That was just to take dirty refrigerants in, clean it, respec it, bottle it, reintroduce it back into the market. That's all we had in mind as to what we were going to do long term. Phone starts ringing, they say, I don't like my 12 replacement, so we invented an R12 replacement. R420A is that gas. A few days later, months later, phone calls start ringing in. Hey, 22 is going to be phased out. You're going to have a 22 replacement. So we started working on it. In 1998, we started doing a lot of testing on what ultimately became this product right here. We knew then in 1998 that at some point in time, 22 there would be shortages that started coming into play, and when there's a shortage that starts coming into play, the price of 22 goes up. That's the only thing that causes it to go up. The lack of it or the phase out date upon us. Well, 3 years ago, in 2013, we had a banner year of alternative refrigerants. Now, mind you, we went into full production. We got our EPA accreditation. We got our ASHRAE number, the R number, back in 2000, 2001. So every day, every week, every month, we produce this product, ship it all over the United States. We have a facility in Canada, in Mississauga, Ontario, that produces for the country of Canada. Year before last, we produced about 9,000 cylinders in Taiwan. So it's now taken on a global face to some degree because 22 is having a problem in certain parts of the United States, in certain parts of the world. If we were all in China this morning, we could go down to about 22 for $32 a cylinder. $32. That's all it would cost. I can't even produce this in China and compete with 22 at $32 a cylinder. At some point in time, even they will start phasing it out. We've got things lined up to where we'll be a vendor producer in China when and if that day ever comes. But that's neither here nor there. Our problem today is you guys are being faced with choices that you have to make. Do you continue to use 22? I'm going to tell you right now, it would be hard for me not to continue to use 22. 22 is a great gas. You actually, a blind man and a monkey can make 22 run most of the time. Is it perfect? No. But it's dang close to being perfect. Unfortunately, our government's phasing it out. December 31st of 2019 is the last day that you can import 22 or produce 22 in the United States. So you got a few days. You don't have to go radical today and start converting everything you got today, because I'm going to be one of the few vendors that you talk to that says, hey, if you got a 22 unit, it's running on 22, and there's nothing wrong with it, I fix what ain't broke. But if you have to replace a compressor, if you have to replace some major component within that system, instead of going back with 22, I would strongly encourage you to pick some alternative, even if it's not mine. When I got out of bed this morning, there were 18 22 replacements in the United States market. 18. You got 18 choices. Actually, you got 17. The reason why I say the difference is, of those 18, I own 2 of them. This one has a sister called 421B for low temp 22 applications, ice machines, walk-in coolers, that kind of thing, freezers. But for residential air conditioning, package unit air conditioning, this is the closest thing to 22 commercially available in the United States. I will tell you, I got extremely lucky. What was lucky was the fact that when we started, there wasn't any competitors out there. The only other 22 alternative when we got into the game, there were 2 of them. 417A, which is no longer produced, and 407C, that's still produced. we gave you each a couple of handouts today that we want to refer to kind of give you an idea. If I have to pick one when I'm talking to somebody, this is the one that I go to every time. The Understanding Glide. 22 has no glide. It's a single component product. You didn't have to check superheat, subcooling on 22. You just had to put some in and keep putting it in until you achieve the amount of cooling that you needed. We all get out of our trucks every day, gauge set on our back pocket, walk up to a unit that we got to work on, and we automatically know what the pressure should read on the suction side when we're screwing the gauge on. If it don't hit that number when we screw it on, we go to adding refrigerant. That's typically the fixed process. These alternatives, every alternative, not just mine, but every alternative, all 16 of those other ones, requires you to be a little bit better technician than you had to be over the last few years. Subcooling and superheat is going to be critical. It'll be easy to overcharge a unit. It will force you to find out what the problem is on that unit. Do you have a blockage? Is there a capillary tube that's plugged up? Is the TXV valve stopped up? Is the liquid line filter dryer plugged? You'll have to identify all of those things to get any of these alternatives to work properly. Now, I can tell you more times than not, this product ends up being pull it out, put it in, turn it on, walk away. 9 out of 10 times. Reason why I don't say 10 out of 10? Number one, I don't think you'd believe me if I said 10 out of 10. But the truth of the matter is, I know, having converted thousands of units since we invented it in 1998, that's just not the case. As a vendor to Murray, a vendor to ultimately to you guys, we need you to have a positive experience with this product. Otherwise, you get a cup of coffee, you're at your supply house or you're at some other trade show and you're talking about, man, I tried that, it didn't work. What we looked at in the early days was, what did I want? What did I personally want a 22 alternative to be like? Y'all are now in that position. You need to decide what you want an R22 replacement to do for you. I'm pretty sure, I've been here for 2 days now talking to numerous groups for Murray, and I've yet to run into the technician or property management company that has enough time in a day to do what they need to do. Every single one of them doesn't have enough time. Well, this glide chart right here lists 4 of the major alternatives that's commercially available. The reason why they're on my chart is because I believe them to be the biggest competitors that I have. Are there some other ones? Yeah, there's some other ones. Because obviously there's not 16 listed on this thing. But these are the 16 that I'm up against the most United States wide. 407C is the cheapest 22 alternative that's out there today. In a few weeks, because of some court cases that's taking place in Washington, D.C., you'll see the price of 407C start going up. You'll see the price of 410 start going up. Currently today, I have the only product that has no tariff associated with it. The federal government said, hey, we're going to give this guy his own harmonized tariff code, and we're not going to let anybody charge him a tariff, bringing any component or product in outside the United States. Every day, my factory's in Alpharetta, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. We produce 100% for the domestic use inside the United States, inside the United States. That's important to me. Buy American when you can. But if you can't, there's some other products out there that use products from abroad. Occasionally we do. But that's only if I can't buy the raw materials domestically. So what we started looking at when back to this chart, each one of those products, when you're doing a conversion, what makes you have to do less work is if you have a preheat chart, a pressure temperature relationship as close to 22 as possible. Today, DuPont doesn't like it, Honeywell doesn't like it, Copeland doesn't like it, Emerson doesn't like it. Nobody likes the fact that I've got the closest pressure temperature chart in the United States. As they hate it, because they can't beat it. They can't meet it. Our patents cover it. They can't come up with something that would make theirs to be identical to mine. The reason why that becomes very important is it indicates that you will have less of a problem in converting your unit over to this gas. The chances of having to change a TXV valve or increase a compressor tonnage is virtually zero. Because the PT chart, it's as if you're looking at 22. The other thing I'm going to point you to is the PT chart. If you've already looked at this, if you hadn't, this is an indicator. You pick your favorite number. 70, is it 90, is it 100 degrees? You look at the first column, that's 421A. The second column is 22. It's virtually undetectable on a digital gauge set. It's so close. We got lucky. Pure T lucky. So you don't have to get out of a truck, and if it was 407C that you had in your hand, you don't have to add 13 PSI to what you think you already know. You can throw all the 22 numbers in a trash can. If you go to MO99, which is R438A, any of the 422 A, B, C, D, or E, hell, they tried 5 times to get that gas right. 407C, 13.6 PSI higher than 22. You got to learn a whole new set of numbers. So if you've got a technician that works for you, is he going to be as good as you are? Is he going to know what those number changes are? Is he going to take that in consideration, or is he just going to do what he's always done, and that's walk up there, put the suction line on the low side of that compressor and see if it's got 65 pounds of pressure before he starts adding gas? Another question we get asked all the time, and I didn't realize when I was inventing this stuff in late 98, 99, and 2000, I wished I had been smart enough to realize 17 years later what animal we had just created. Because if you look at the PT chart, most of you have already made the assumption, well, I ought to be able to just add this stuff to 22. Well, it's done every day, but not by me. I'm going to tell you, you need to evacuate the system. You need to change the liquid line filter dryer on a conversion. You need to charge it in the liquid state. 90% of it, of the call for charge. The last 10% you're going to add is going to be based on subcooling or superheat. I don't care which one you use, whichever one you feel most comfortable with. Some manufacturers dictate subcooling, some manufacturers dictate superheat. And then your charge is the charge. This product is not 22, but it's damn close. Pretty close. One of the things you got that we get asked all the time, can you mix it? We tell you you can't mix it. The EPA, part of your 608 recovery technician license, that everybody in the room's got one in their pocket or in their truck somewhere, or if they hadn't seen it in a number of years. One of the questions on that test was, can you mix refrigerants? No. Well, they hadn't changed it. They're not going to change it. You know, we had to come up with all kinds of stories, and one time I was in Oklahoma and I said, you know, you go down to the Ford dealer and you buy a Ford pickup truck or a Chevrolet, whichever one's your favorite, and get a diesel truck and you buy it and you drive around, life is good, stop, fill it up with diesel fuel, no big deal. Run that down to Home Depot and load the tail end of that truck with fertilizer. Put it back in the truck. Gonna put it on your lawn, make your grass green, no big deal. Drive that thing into a parking deck and mix the diesel fuel with the nitrogen, and it levels a city block. It becomes a bomb. We've done no testing on intentionally mixing refrigerants. Now, I say that way because I don't have a bunch of data that I can give to you that says if you leave 98% in there, it does this, or 92% it does this, or 45% it does that. We are virtually prevented by law from the EPA from even doing that because it suggests that you can in fact mix it. So we kind of dance around and say that we don't do that. Well, the truth of the matter is that we have done some of that. Apartment complex in Greenville, South Carolina had 3 identical 2-ton heat pumps. The first one they left on 22. The second one they did a conversion to 421A by the numbers. And the third one, they pulled out half the charge of 22 and stuck in half the charge back with 421A and turned them all on. Watched it all summer long. 22 kept running. Then all of a sudden we got the phone call and said, hey, do you know that the second unit is outperforming the 22 unit? And I went, no way. He said, what do you mean no way? I said, well, no, look, I'm telling you my product's good. Is it better than 22? No. Is it equal to 22? It's pretty dang close. 22's going away, so it really don't make a dang. You got to come up, you have to use something else anyway. The third unit, which was the 50-50 blend of 22 and 421A, had the highest head draw, the longest runtime cycles of any of the 3. Then we started looking at all the data, and it really bothered me that this company came back and said, hey, the 421's outperforming the 22. So we started looking at, how is that even possible? Well, what we found out is that the first unit, the one on 22, they didn't check the charge. They didn't start it off. They didn't optimally get it running. They changed the filters on everything. But they really didn't do anything. So it was, however, the condition was the day that they started monitoring it. Well, come to find out, it had a compressor change out. The line set was subject to being the wrong size. All of those things. So I'm one of those purists that says if you're going to compare apples and apples, it's okay to compare apples and apples, but it's not a fair comparison to apples and oranges. That's why my product outperformed 22. Now I will tell you this from a chemical standpoint of view. If you look at some of the data that we created on our particular website, you'll see an engineer out of Fairfax, Virginia, just outside of Washington, that is one of the world's renowned chemical gurus. He's on retainer by DuPont and Honeywell and Arkema and Shundog and Sinochem in China. I mean, literally all over the world. The guy is just, it doesn't get any better than Jim Conn. All of a sudden, when I contracted him to do some comparative studies on my product versus some other gases, all of a sudden I get this report back. Well, I'll tell you a funny story too. When you call this guy and you say, I need you to do that, I'd like you to do this report, he tells you how much it's going to cost. $20,000. He goes, I'll start work the day your check clears the bank. And I go, I'm paying before I get the information? Uh-huh. Why is that? Well, you might not like what I give you, and I'm going to get paid one way or the other. I said, okay. So I wired him the money. He starts work. 90 days so later, I get this report in. There's 2 entries on this report that's italicized in bold black ink. One of them is the latent heat of vaporization. From a mathematical point of view, my gas, this gas, can consume more heat than 22 can. Now, there will be some people that will say, hey, air conditioning is consumption of heat, and so your product's better than 22. I don't go that far. But it doesn't change the facts. The facts are the facts. This gas has the ability to consume more heat than 22 can. It's numerically higher in its ability to absorb heat. So we knew that we had a good product. That test was done in late 1999, early 2000. This guy's got contacts with the National Institute of Safety Standards. He helped write the the digital programs, RefLeak and RefProp, that allows companies all over the world to mix chemicals together and generate what properties they would have if you were to go into production, and also pressure temperature charts. He's one of the guys that says that the data that comes out of this program is either right or wrong. He's just one of these smart, PhD kind of guys. But he told me a story early on. He said, Ken, he said, look, for as long as you're in this industry, fight the urge to compare your gas to 22. That if you really want to see how good your gas is, develop a unit. Make a unit that is optimally designed to run this product. I said, well, Jim, I'm not an equipment manufacturer. I don't think I'm going to start being an equipment manufacturer. But I said, okay, I hear you. I'll keep that in the back of my mind. Well, over the years, what we've learned is that when we take it 22 out of a system and we put this product in, that it has some very unique qualities about it. It saves you time in that 99% of the time you don't have to make any unit modifications whatsoever. None whatsoever. The fact that we're the only manufacturer that has a lubricant embedded into its refrigerant, so when you buy 22, it has a high boiling residue of 0 because there is no lubricant in the 22 cylinder at all. So every time we have a leak on the high side or the low side of an air conditioning system, we have lost a measurable amount of oil. Have that happen 10 times in a 10-year period, and you've lost a decent amount of lubricant within the compressor. What does that do for you? The compressor has to work harder. It's not being lubricated. It travels from there to here. It gets oil fouling on the line sets. And so one of the great things that we realized, we had a heat pump one time, one of the very first heat pumps we did. And I'll tell you this story. So we invent this product, we blend up some, the first little bitty load, and my wife tells me, hey, my mom's going to be out there. And then she was telling me some other stuff. I thought, great. I run over to my mother-in-law's, I suck out the 22 out of her unit, I put this product in, and I drive off. Knowing that if it breaks, she's going to call me, her son-in-law that's in the air conditioning fluids business that can work on units to some degree. She wouldn't know no difference, no harm, no foul. That unit's still running on my gas today. Now, I didn't do that to my mom. I did it to my mother-in-law. But now my mom's runs on this product. But I tell you that it's kind of a funny story, although it's a very true story. We had to try it. That year was 1998. That's how long that product's been available. We went into full commercial blending and packaging and selling. We've gone to wholesalers all across the country. 5 or so years ago, we get a call from Patrick, and he goes, hey, I want to talk to you about your product. They've been selling it now dependably for 5 years. We've done many of these shows in the Carolinas for them. To my knowledge, they've not had a single problem with it. It's one thing for me to say that it's good. How many salesmen have you ever talked to that starts off their conversation, I really can't do this very well. Or what I have doesn't work very well. But I think y'all got this. If the guy started off the conversation with that kind of a sentence, you guys would get up and run the other way. So you got to expect that I'm going to tell you just the absolute best about this product. But a better indicator of is it good or not good probably sits right there, the truth be known. He's one of you. He's a vendor to you. They make commitments into this area of the country, supplying products. They don't want to have a bad relationship with their customers, and they don't want to sell a product that doesn't work. So he can tell you multiple stories in property management where his customers have already used this product and are having 0 complaints or problems with it. Beyond that, it's the conversion part. There's a video that we have attached to our website. I would tell you to look at that. I think if they haven't, they will soon have it on their website so that you can watch it at length. Again, it's only 5 or 6 minutes long, and y'all all know that it takes more than 5 or 6 minutes to convert a unit. But in the world of TV, you can do miraculous things with I mean, the product's good, but 5 or 6 minutes, it does take more than 5 or 6 minutes, is what I'm trying to say. And we appreciate your consideration of it. I can just tell you that, are there some other products that work in the market? Yes, there are. Do they work as well as this? I don't think so. We raised the bar pretty high. DuPont and Honeywell hadn't been real big fans of it because they didn't come up with it. We just beat them to it. The next wave of gases, you know, we probably won't beat them to the punch. But, you know, we still hold high hopes that we will. The next round of gases you guys are gonna have to deal with in, I don't know, I'm gonna say somewhere between 6 and 10 years, is 6 to 10 years out. The reason why 22 is going up and they want the prices of these other gases is because today, his cost on one of those gases is $19 a pound. That's his cost before he sells it to y'all. $19 a pound. We don't know what the unit's gonna look like. There's two big factions in Washington right now that if they have their way about it, they're gonna get rid of everything. 410, this, 134A, they're gonna get rid of all of that. They want you to go to isopentane, isopropane, isobutane. That is what they want you to go to. That comes out of the ground. Just filter it. Mother Earth produces it. So it has 0 ozone depletion, a very low global warming because it's a natural component. I'm telling you right now, when I didn't have none of y'all in mind when I was inventing this product. It was simply to be able to keep my units running in my home or my big building that I've got. That was all I was concerned about. But I didn't want anything that had flammable components in it. I know what flammability does. You know, if you had to ever fix a leak and you had to braise, you know, it's a flame that you're using, heat that you're using. Well, some of these 2 or 3, 4, 5 component gases, MO99 being a prime example. So it's an okay gas. It's a DuPont invention. It has 3 flammable components in it. I'm not a fan of that. I think when you have a conversion, let's say that flammability is not an issue. The fact that it has 5 components in it means that it layers. It has a 5 times chance of layering in the condenser, which means that your pressures go to hell and your TXV valve hunts and doesn't do what it needs to do. I'm not a fan of multiple components. Certainly above 3, I'm not a fan at all. But then factor in that they're using hydrocarbons to help facilitate an oil return. We tried to skin that cat, and we did skin that cat a different way. We went to the lubricant manufacturers and said, hey, if I've got these 2 gases with this pressure, and I have it in a refrigeration circuit, how can what have you got that you can give to me that I can put in my refrigerant to facilitate oil return? And what they gave to me was an alkybenzene type lubricant that attaches itself to mineral, it attaches itself to alkybenzene, it attaches itself to POE or PAG, and it thins them. It makes them lighter, but it increases lubricity factors. So we just skinned the cat a different ways, all we did. Plus, I could not have gotten a patent on a blend containing a hydrocarbon because they were all taken up. So we reinvented the wheel and went a different direction. But when you look at the product as a whole, when you look at what you need a 22 replacement to do for you, either in a time savings mode, today it's a cost savings mode. I mean, my God, If this stuff is half as good as I say it is, and it's half the cost of 22, that reason alone is a reason to put it on serious consideration.
Well, I'll tell you this. About 5 years ago, we decided we needed to bring in a replacement refrigerant. Our 22 was really starting to go up. We were getting to the dates to where we knew that the supply was going to start to dwindle. I started, my background is apartment maintenance, so I was the one who was going to make the choice. I started with 4 refrigerants. I just knew I was going to choose MO99. I mean, I'd read all the stuff. It's the one that's out there. Everybody has it. When I started breaking them down and finding out, okay, because I was looking for a lot of what Ken said. I'm a maintenance guy. This has to be easy for me to use. This has to be safe. And this has to be manageable going forward. I eliminated MO99 first. The one I thought I was going to go with, I eliminated first. I kept coming back to this product. And I just kept saying, this can't be the answer. If this is the answer, why is this the least known of these products? Why is it the one that I can't just open the computer up and pull up 10,000 pages on and get tons of information on? And it's because Choice Refrigerants is not on the scale of these other refrigerant companies. But I kept coming back to a couple of things. One was the 2-part refrigerant with no hydrocarbons. And why that was more important to me versus the flammability is you're going to have leaks in your systems. It's just a fact. We don't work on the highest end equipment. This property, most of your properties are over the age of 15. There's been a lot of people soldering on those units over the years. Some of them were very good, some of them not so good. This product, once I change my unit to this product, if I have a leak, I can top this product off in there. The ones with the hydrocarbons, when you have leaks, they say in their literature, more than 10% leak, drop the entire charge and start over. I'm saying, okay, so I got a 2-ton heat pump with 7.5 pounds of refrigerant in it. I got to pull this out, and what do I do with this? And I got to start over. That didn't make sense to me. This one you can lose 50% of the charge, 60% of the charge. You can top it off. The blend stays the same. That was one of the first things that caught my eye. The second thing was the pressures. They're identical to R22. They're within 1%. Now, you don't need to just go on pressures, but we all start there. When as soon as you put your gauges on, you look at it and you say, okay, this unit, my suction's low, my high side is low, my airflow is good, I'm low on refrigerant, I know where this needs to be. With a lot of the others, with the MO99, with the new 22s, those pressures are so much higher. I've got a 20-year-old unit. You were telling me earlier, you've got a 30-year-old property. You really don't want to take your head pressure from 225 to 285. You're asking for trouble. With this product, it's going to be exactly what it is today. The lubricant that Ken uses actually helps my system. There's no guarantee it's going to make my compressor last longer, but it's darn sure not going to hurt. It's going to lubricate the system. And yesterday during the first class, I like to tweak around, and I guess you shouldn't say it like that anymore, the way people do the drugs. But I pulled up the EPA's website, and they list all the refrigerants, the replacement refrigerants. And any of these over here in red, or this first or third line, they are refrigerants. R143, R32, R600, R601. They're refrigerants, but they're flammable refrigerants. They're propane, they're isopropane. They got words this long on them. Ken's 2 refrigerants are the 2 right here. They're the only 2 of all of them that don't have those. When it comes out here to lubricant, this is the only one that says added. The way that he achieved oil return with his lubricant actually ended up making it even more attractive to me, and I think to most customers, because of not having the issues with charging it. We've been selling this product for 5 years. We sold a lot of this product. We have never had one issue with anybody using this product. We've had some guys that tell me, hey, I mixed it, I did this, man, it's working great, it's working great. Use it correctly. If you decide to use another replacement refrigerant, use it correctly. I was talking to somebody earlier, they bought some NU22. They were told by the distributor, yeah, you can just put that in on top of it. They just told you to break the law. Now, nobody's going to catch you. Ken will give you a t-shirt, I just created a new refrigerant. Because you did, because nobody knows what it's going to do. do. You don't have to have an EPA certification to buy this product. But I won't sell it to you if you don't have it. Because if you haven't made a commitment to this industry and to know what you're doing with these refrigerants, I don't want to sell it to you. You're more likely to be the guy that's going to mix the charge or do something wrong. The products work great. Like I said, we sold it for 5 years. It's a product that we sell. It's a repeat seller for us. I mean, it's not a one-time sale. People don't buy a can and never come back. They buy this product, they use it, they continue to use it. R22 went high, and then the price came back down about a year and a half ago. I had a lot of properties that already switched to this and said, I don't care what R22 costs, I want off my property. Right now, we're $4.74 for a can of R22. I've heard 3 or 4 people today tell me they paid $4.90. This is $2.29 a can for a 25-pound can. Now that's good. That's just almost half price. But here's the better part of that. When I started buying this product from Ken 5 years ago, he gave me a price. We talked about it, worked it out. I still buy this product for the exact same price I bought it 5 years ago. I still sell it for the exact same price I sold it for 5 years ago. Our catalog's back there. It's got 5,500 items in there. There's probably not 20 items in that book that we still sell for the same price we sold 5 years ago. That kind of stability is unheard of on a refrigerant completely. R22, our cost on R22 today is $425 a can. That's my cost. I got to buy 8 pallets and I got to pay for it in 10 days. We sell it for $4.74. That was my cost Monday. My cost next Monday is 50 cents a pound more, $15 a can more next Monday. It just went up the week before. Every 2 weeks, it's going up about 50 cents a pound, which is $15 a can. I don't know where that's going to top out. It's going to be over $500 before the end of this month. There's no question in my mind. I don't know if it peaks and comes back, but all this, you've been hearing about these for the last 15 years about where it's, they're limiting. Well, we're in the final stages of that. So you're going to have to do something on your properties. I absolutely believe that we made the right choice 5 years ago. I wouldn't change anything now. I get customers once in a while say, hey, why don't you bring in MO99 or U22? I'm like, I can't help you with that. Why would I bring in something I don't believe in? It's a fantastic product. It's simple to use. It's basically drop the charge, change your liquid line dryer, pull a deep vacuum, and charge it. You're done. That's it.
We've got some properties that have been what I would consider to be aggressive. They'll make the determination, okay, no more 22. But they literally will put in their budget to go pull the 22 out, recharge the system with 421, and then sell us the dirty 22. It pays for a portion of their conversion.
This sells for $9 a pound. Do you know what you can sell your dirty R22 for right now? $4 a pound. It's almost free. Your net is $5 a pound. And that's what we're paying. I mean, Ken recycles refrigerant, and we have a program we do too, so I don't know what he pays. I may step outside and maybe I'll give you 4 1/4. Don't sell it to him. 6. You got to drive it to Alpharetta, Georgia. With me, I can pick it up. So. Hey, those trucks, 10 miles a gallon diesel. Do the math. Trust me. But it's a fantastic product. Any questions that you have about the product, about the other replacement refrigerants, any refrigerants, the process of usage, please give those to us, because the questions are really where we learn here, because you are the guys out in the field. Yes, sir.
I have a question.
Okay.
And I'm a realist.
Okay.
So throughout this whole presentation, we're hearing all the good, all the good, all the good. So what are the bad?
And I'm going to take this before he does. The one negative about this refrigerant, not just this one, but all of these blends, is they're heavier. So if you have to go above 25 feet, there's some extra work you need to do.
So based on your line set length.
Not length, height, rise. Length doesn't hurt it as bad. Height, you get correct.
Going up, yeah.
And you just figured, we did this math earlier, 10 feet of floor, if you want to figure that. Because he had some units on the third floor. I said, did they run the line sets up through the attic and down or up through the floor? He said, up through the floor. I said, you're right at 25 feet. You should be okay. But you need to monitor it. Every property is different. Every unit's different.
I would tell you that there's two schools of thought here. All my paperwork indicates that a line set that has a vertical rise between the evaporator and the condenser of more than 15 feet. We like to see you add some 3 or 4 ounces of POE oil to the system. Why? POE oil is the lightest lubricant on the face of the earth. It travels, it can go vertically at a much greater rate than even mineral can. So, back in the day, the refrigeration guys would put in a P-trap every 10 or 15 feet so that they had a liquid line drop and the lubricant couldn't go but only so high. That was what the P-trap did in a refrigeration unit. Is that a downside? Yeah, it is. 22 typically doesn't have that requirement.
What are you requiring for how many pounds POE?
I like to see 4 ounces for every 10 feet. Is my personal favorite. Remember, I'm going to err on the side of caution. I know what you'll blame any failure on. Me.
But he's also going to give you his business card today with his contact information. One other, because listen, there are limitations. The other negative of these, all these blends, these replacements, Copeland, Goodman, Train, they're going to tell you, void your warranty if you use that. You void your warranty if you use that. Now, that can be a big deal here. I told the story earlier. We sell about half as many filter dryers as we do condensing units and heat pumps. So half of those units we just sent out have voided their warranty. Because if you add that to an existing system and don't change or add a filter dryer, you void your warranty. We've had no issues with this product. When you fill out if any of you ever fill out a compressor warranty form, they ask you for the cause of the failure, the date of the failure, the date. They don't ask you if you put a dryer on there. They don't ask you what refrigerant you're using. We don't ask our customers if they have a compressor failure, what refrigerant they're using. We've never had a compressor claim denied by Bristol or Copeland with any refrigerant we've ever done. They have the right to ask for that compressor when we call it in, and we ship it to them. They can cut it open, they can test it, they can do all this stuff. I'll tell you this on this refrigerant, and Ken will back me up because he has insurance. If you have a compressor failure with this, using this refrigerant, even if it's in a 15, well, wouldn't be under warranty, if it's a 4-year-old unit that's got a warranty on it, and somebody tells you they will not warranty that because you use 421A, call me. I'm going to call Ken. We're going to give you a compressor. We've had 0 issues with that. It is, if you go to my website or my competitor's website, and you pull up MO99, it's going to tell you right there, voids manufacturer's warranty.
I'll tell you something. You know, I've had a huge issue with this over the course of time. 17 years.
Show them we still got, that was from the first class.
In 17 years, I've never replaced a compressor. Far past the warranty. So I was at Langley Air Force Base here several years ago. Invited me to come up and talk to him about this. And all of a sudden, the Train company was in the room. The Train said, "Hey, look, he's probably a nice guy, but we ain't approved diddly he's got. And if you use it, we're going to void your warranty." I got all my paperwork, put it back in my box. Had one of the airmen bring in a dry eraser board, kind of like this right here. They said, "Okay, Ken, it's your turn." I said, "All right, Train has approved R22, R134A, R410A, and R407C. They build units that run those gases. That's the only gases that they approve for air conditioning, high pressure air conditioning." I said, "You don't need Train's approval. They've already approved my product. They just didn't know they approved my product." Well, my product's not 22, but my product has 134A in it. 410, is made out of two gases, R32 and R125, 50-50 blend. There's 125, that's the other component that's in my blend. How can they run compressors, build compressors, warranty compressors with these four gases that use the same components that I use without approving my product? Doesn't make sense. It's stupid, is what it is. It's not like I hadn't asked them. And so they said, well, Ken, you know, oh my God, come on. We can't test all these new refrigerant blends that's coming out. We can't stop what we're doing, building compressors to approve all these products. What do we get out of the deal? That bothered me for a few days, so I called them back up and I said, I'll tell you what, I'll pay for the test. You tell me what criteria my gas has to meet before the test starts. You pick the lab that you feel comfortable with, and I'll pay for it. And the third step is when they say it runs fine, and if there's not a materials compatibility issue, you give me a certificate saying you approve my gas. They still said no. What does that tell you?
They're scared.
Money.
Well, let me tell you, I don't have a boat to take them to the Bahamas
Right.
every fall.
Got money.
I don't take them to the golf course. And the dancing girls. I don't do none of that. I have a product. I'm convinced my product's a good product. I've done every bit of the testing that possibly could be done because I needed to ensure that for my own usage. You know, if you had to protect me or yourself, we all know the answer is you're going to protect yourself before you protect me. Well, that's what I've done. I've protected me. And that protection also protects y'all and Murray and anybody else that sells it. I mean, it's just a logical deal.
What was the result at Langley?
Langley said, we'll take a pallet. They buy it to this day.
No matter what trade say.
Correct. Because Train just sat there with their finger up your butt. I mean, what do you say to that?
Right.
I asked him, I said, what kind of lubricant do you use? Oh, well, we use New Calgon, POE, Ags, alkylbenzene, mineral oil. Well, that's who produces my lubricant. There is no way. So that bothered me, that I had to do this. So I went to the largest compressor rebuilder in the United States, American Hermetics. They build 20-ton, 30-ton, 40-ton, 50-ton, all the way to 100-ton. They rebuild Copeland compressors, Train compressors. Now they don't test them on 22 no more. They test them on 421A. They certify them to run 421A. So did I really need the compressor manufacturers? I don't think so. Did I need the OEMs to pat me on the head and endorse me? You guys are smart enough. Tell you what to do. Give me all your out of warranty stuff. Don't put it in a single warranted unit. Let me tell you what'll happen. You'll put it in the first 10 out of warranties. And it'll be running like a scalded dog. It'll be doing the job. You'll hear things like, well, you know what, I could have swore that compressor's a little quieter. You'll make a mental note of that. You won't tell nobody. And then all of a sudden there's going to be a phone call that comes in and says you got to do apartment number 9. And you're going to go out there and 22 is going to be $500 a silver. And you're going to go, shit. Warranty my ass. Because I put it in 10 out of warranties and it's running great. What's the chances it's not going to run good enough? I mean, come on. We all smarter than that. I ain't that good. I'm just talking about logic. Yes, sir.
You can convert a 410 unit to this product?
Well, if you listen to me, you can, but I mean, you know, nobody in here looks radical. See, some of these other classes y'all had me do, there was some radical looking guys. Y'all are pretty conservative looking group.
I think that's common.
But
I don't want to replace my air handler.
But if you really want to
All I
have,
can buy right now is 410 equipment.
if you really want to have fun with this product, change the TXV valve in that 410 that we all hate. Pull out the 410, put a 22 TXV valve back on it, whether that's an orifice or a self-modulating TXV valve for the tonnage of unit it is, and charge this gas in it. The compressor will send you a thank you note at Christmas.
And you don't have to change your air handler.
No. Got one in my office, been running 9 years, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
That's a good question, though. That's the first time we've had somebody ask that question. But yeah, listen, the guys, if 22 were affordable, we wouldn't have Ken up here, because there's nothing wrong with 22. It's a good gas. It's a great gas. It's very forgiving. We recycle and we get refrigerant in, and people will be like, "Oh man, this is nasty, burnt water and everything. This won't do anything." They test it at 98%. I mean, it's great gas, but this is half the price, and the gap's widening. You didn't budget for $500 for a can of R22. Your budgets are getting destroyed already this year. I mean, we went and made a sales call this morning before the first meeting. It's a big property here in Virginia Beach. Nice supervisor, good guy. They're a customer of ours. He wasn't gonna be able to be here, and I wanted him to meet Ken. And we went out there, and he said, "Man, we're just running wide open." He says 10, 12, 15 HVAC calls a day. And I said, "Well, what are the calls?" He goes, they're low. They got leaks. We don't have time to stop. We're just gas and go, gas and go. And I said, "I get it. I understand. I've been on site. I know how busy you are." And, 5 years ago, that wasn't that expensive. But he's got 2.5 ton units. They got, 8, 9 pounds of refrigerant in it. You're not getting a phone call until 20% of that charge is leaked out. That's about when you get the call. You gotta go put 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds in it. At $17 a pound, 2 pounds is $34. That's $34 every time you charge that unit.
And you can do the math that it saved you time,
Yep.
but in actuality it didn't. I started the whole conversation off with the fact that I'm positive y'all have not enough time this time of year. Y'all are worked hard, overworked. I'm positive of it. Yet we're all here.
Yeah, but you know what? You gotta try to learn new stuff. You can't just, if you know today what you knew 10 years ago, you're behind. This industry, every industry has changed so much. You've got new water heaters, you've got new HVAC units, you've got new mold issues, you've got new CO alarm issues, you've got refrigerant issues. You've got to stay on top of this stuff. That's why we do it. Yes, sir.
What if you go to a unit and it's completely dry? Can you seal the unit up with the stop leak and then charge it, or do you got to change the oils in the compressor?
You don't have to change the oil. You need to change the dryer and put
Right.
a deep vacuum, but you don't have to change the oil.
Okay, because a lot of them, when you start at the beginning of the year, they're
Yeah.
sitting all winter. If they're not a heat pump, if they're just a straight air,
Put your
you'll
suction
notice
line-
that their low pressure switches out because there's no freon in it.
put
Of
your
course, you're gonna need to change the dryer, put a vacuum
whole
on it,
unit, put your suction line on, it's in a vacuum. That's all.
Yeah. charge it up, and then that's, you don't change any liquids in it. Adding the oil unless it's an upstairs unit over 10 feet per the drop that you were saying.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be honest, that's what he says in his literature, and the other blends say that. I've had one property, and it was in Columbia, South Carolina, which, if you've ever been to Columbia, South Carolina, it's like an armpit, man. I mean, even when it's freezing down there, it's hot. And they're 4 floors, and they were having to add POE. And that's the only one that and I haven't talked to everybody that buys it, but when we first brought this product in, I mean, we were following up. People bought it, we were checking with them every month. Hey, how's it working? What do you think? What do you think? Because if I'm gonna go out and take your time and tell you it works, I gotta know that. Because I'll give you my card with my cell number on here today. And if you have an issue with it, call me. Call Ken. If you got a question about it, call us. There's nothing, no wool over anybody's eyes. All these blends work. They all work. This one has some advantages that I think
You asked what was the bad. Can we tell you some bad? I tell you, it's like my granddaddy said, what sounds too good to be true usually ends up being too good to be true. Except for on this product. They just ain't no bad. There's not a lot of bad. We did everything we could to come up with a product for this application that required the least amount of work humanly possible, that we could control costs. Because we saw what happened to 12 went to $1,000 or so. A property manager couldn't survive if gas got to be $1,000 or so.
Yeah.
You can't go up on the rents that fast to begin with. So but I will tell you this gas will not fix a broke machine either. There's a lot of people that thinks, oh, new gas, man, I talked to that guy, and the more I talked to him, the more that cylinder just leaked up and flew around the room. It's unbelievable. But as good as it is, it won't fix a broke unit.
Yeah, we compressor.
There ain't nothing in here to stop a leak. So you just, call it like you see it. I mean, it is what it is. But if you'll go through I'm not saying on this retrofit guideline, you've got to do this for every unit. Part of this is to get you to understand, to help you understand what you want out of a unit, what you want out of a gas going into that unit. So the first 2 or 3, I'd go by the book. I'd dot every I and cross every T. See, there's a lot of people go, well, hey, the compressor died. And we go, really? And then you get into it, and you start looking at it, and you go, okay, let me see the data where you converted. And all of a sudden they go, well, I didn't do any of that. Well, did you charge it as a liquid? And they go, I'm not sure. I don't really know. So then we analyze the gas, and it's a different percentage than it needs to be. I mean, we're going to look for everything we can, because the last thing we need to have happen is there to be a problem. Well, I don't worry about it much today. 17 years ago, let me tell you, I didn't sleep much. I kept waiting for the mother-in-law to come. Hey, they working. Was the outside unit on? No. It just that never happened. So I just don't think there's a problem. You're not going to have a problem. But listen, take everything I tell you and throw it in the trash can. You ain't going to believe it till you experience it. You have faith in it. It becomes your problem, not just mine. I already love that.
Well, Ken brought up a point there that we hadn't mentioned. All of these blends, 410's a blend, all of these blends are charged in a liquid state. All of them, to make them work effectively, to get the blend correct.
Right.
We sell, all of our competitors sell, and I think Jim actually has one back there. It's called an InstaCharge. You put it on your gauges, allows you to, it changes liquid to vapor, makes it much easier to charge these units and these systems. Make sure you charge in liquid state. This helps. What do you say? Charge it to 90% of capacity?
Yeah, as a technician, I charge, because it's going to require you to measure the superheater or the subcooler. Single component gas, you ain't got to do none of that. But I always charge, my personal favorite is charge to 90%. If it calls for 10 pounds, put 9 pounds in it. Turn everything on. Let it run a few minutes. And then start and measure your superheat and adjust the last 10% till you achieve your superheat. That's all you got to do. That's it. No harder than that.
Any other questions, comments, suggestions?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Y'all mentioned buying the dirty R22.
Yes.
Or how about buying that 421A?
Well, Ken may want it, but it's only $9 a pound. Virgin.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
But you're going to get, I don't know what you're going to get for it. It's only $9 a pound virgin. So I don't know what the value of the use would be, but you can call him, call me.
Call him, he's gonna call me, but the answer is yes, we do buy it, we do take it back in, no problem.
410 as well?
410 as well.
410 is about to go way up in price, so that old 410 is gonna become more valuable. We have different suppliers that we use for refrigerants. Ken had told me this, and I verified it, but I didn't believe him, but we had sent out for some quotes. And one of our other refrigerant people told us that 410A would more than double in price in the next 4 weeks.
It's $150 a jug now, where it was the last time I ordered it. So
Man, where are you ordering stuff? I really need to be selling you. I can mark it up 20%, sell it to you for $150. I think we're 125.
129.
129 on 410A.
So what's causing that to spike?
Taxes, tariffs.
China has gotten caught dumping low-cost gas into the U.S. market. The big three got together with a couple of union buddies and a cylinder manufacturer and went to the International Trade Committee in the Department of Commerce and said, hey, y'all got to protect us. Well, they did all right. This morning, the tariff's 93% a pound. 93% a pound. Raw materials and certain products, 410 being one of them, 407C being the other one, that's coming in back into the United States. The damages portion of this case is on the 21st day of June. Most of us already believe they're going to find in the favor of damages. And the 93% tariff will go to 180%. Now, the prices are going to go up on 93%. Can you imagine what's going to happen if it goes to 180%? And nobody's telling you this. I only know it because I'm in the court case. I'm one of the guys that testified. That's how I know it. It's fact. It ain't if it's going up, it's when. So what makes that timing issue, take all of your vendors that you buy gas from, and the guys that got warehouses full of refrigerant products will be able to last longer before their price goes up. The guys that run businesses that they keep their finger on the pulse of all you as customers, buys when they need, stocks a certain amount, are going to get the impact first. They're going to see it first. Crazy.
But most of your vendors aren't gonna come tell you it's going up.
No.
You know?
Most of the vendors aren't going to tell you that the R448, 449, and 450 that's coming down the pike is $19 a pound, wholesale. They're going to want you to talk. How do you go from buying 22 or 421 at 9 something a pound and jump all the way to $19 a pound? They got to get the price up, or they'll never be able to sell the next 3 gases.
You got to do your own research. If you have questions, call me, call Ken. One thing we are doing, since you took the time to come to a class, if you do want to purchase 421A this week through Friday, you can buy it for $200 a can. That's only through Friday. That's basically us selling it at cost. I'll give you my card if you're interested. You can call me. I'll put the order in for you. But it's $229, has been for 5 years, and that's where it'll stay. Do some research. There's a ton of information out here. If you go read about something, you got a question, call me. If I can't answer it, call Ken. He'll answer this. There's nothing to hide about this gas. It's out there. It's been out there for years. Like I said, we've got a 5-year track record with it. And Ken's done this class for us in North and South Carolina a lot of times. And South Carolina is an extremely difficult HVAC market. It's hot down there. And we sell more of this in South Carolina than we do in North Carolina. So, Kevin's going to pass out these stickers. When you buy a can, we sell a 25-pound can. It comes with 5 of these stickers. No matter if you're going to use this product, if you're using 410A, if you're going to use another blend, mark these units. Mark them good. Mark them to where if the maintenance guy from your sister property takes a call for you when you go on vacation in August, that he's going to know that this is either 410, 421A, M099, whatever you're using. mixed refrigerants are no good for anybody. And Ken's a recycler, he can tell you that. I mean, it's just, that R22 that we'll buy from you, the first thing that happens when we pick up those cans is they test that. If it's mixed refrigerant, we bring it back to you, because there's nothing we can do with it.
New EPA rules coming out in a few weeks. Record keeping is gonna be a big deal. HFC recovery and reclamation requirements. And they're setting the stage for the next wave. So it's fixed. They're gonna tighten everything up. Everything will get tighter. Leak rate scenarios, comment sections about leak rates by unit.
Ken, could you talk a little bit about how your product's protected and how it's not gonna go up in price, or it's gonna stay pretty close?
Well, the issue with the court case that started June was a year ago was based on the premise that the Chinese were dumping low-cost materials into the U.S. and because the units were, the refrigerants were not patented any longer. Well, mine is. My patent's in force. But DuPont and Honeywell lost their patents. And subsequently, that protected me. I got the government to change the 1930s law for harmonized tariffs for chemicals coming into the United States because I had a patented product. That was the loophole that we got to play against the big three. But right now, today, we're the only one that will, that's why Murray's not gonna have a price increase between now and December. I already know right now that we're not gonna have a price increase all of next year. All of next year. The third year, and that's barring some unforeseen change in the environment world that we live in Washington, D.C. Hey, I'm one of the guys that hopes 410 doubles in price. It makes that product look that much better.
Any other questions? We'll be here for just a few more minutes if you do have any. If you could, on the pads we gave you, if you can put your name, your property down, and any comments you got for the class. How, was it good? Was it informative? How could it have been